Alrighty. Well, hi everybody. Welcome to our July board meeting. We've got a bunch of things to cover today, and I kind of need to have a hard stop at 4:30. And I know Debbie's going to have a supplier event, so we'll try and get as much done as we can. So let's start with last month's minutes. Robin.
Okay, so the treasurer's report was 25,472. There was progress on the change in the bank account names and still working on that. The supplier showcase, we had estimated gross revenue 20,000 and expenses will be less than 10,000. Registration is going very well. We agreed to expand the registration to allow for more suppliers to be registered, and we agreed that we would move to the second room. Legislative Day, Jeff and Rob and Lisa shared some of the information about that. Jeff shared chapter goals, ASTA PAC, membership, and other new business. We talked about the email addresses. Trish said the upcoming events, July 24th, Riverside, and in August, maybe Hyatt. In September, Sally's doing the disc training. And Skylar said he would look for ideas for how to connect non-industry partners like tax partners, discounts, etc. And yeah, that's about it.
Cool.
I can move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No objections? All right, minutes are approved as read. Thank you, Robin.
Sure.
Sally, showcase update.
You know, the suppliers and the money's rolling in. We're up to 41 suppliers.
Wow.
And I just looked at we've got 14 grand has come in already, with another almost 10 grand yet to come in from them. And I expect more suppliers. Just got an email from one. I copied you on that, Jeff. Somebody else is interested. And so the word is out. And do you know, Jeff, where we stand on advisor registrations?
46.
That's more than we had a month before the last one. The last one, yeah, we went up to 80, but it was a lot in the last couple of weeks. So we're in good shape.
Yeah. So I expect us to hit 125-ish, 150-ish.
I would love that. I've told suppliers we're hoping for over 100, but 125 would be awesome. So that's basically everything's rolling. Not much new, just more folks. So that's good news.
Awesome. Well, thank you to you and your team. It's doing a great job. Treasurer report. Jennifer can't be here today, so I'll give that. We have $29,454.84 in the account as of an hour ago. The only expense in the last several weeks has been our regular QuickBooks expense. We'll kind of talk through some budget stuff in a minute. Jennifer and I have been working on the budget for the remainder of 2023. Jennifer is now on the bank account, so she can find stuff.
Cool.
That's all taken care of. I've got stuff to send over to headquarters for Elizabeth Henry, so she'll be added to the account as soon as she can sign that. All she needs is a notary, which I presume in an office full of lawyers, there's probably a notary. So hopefully that's not a problem. And then I'll kind of show the budget and we can go through that as part of our new business. So yeah, any questions on treasurer stuff? All right, well, moving on to our upcoming events. This is an easy meeting today. Trisha, what?
Do you need the treasurer's report to be voted on? To be
no.
Nope. Okay.
No. Trish.
Yeah. I heard from Maureen from Riverside. She's ready to go on Tuesday. And is it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. That's what I thought. She was wondering how many people to expect. I took a look at Eventbrite. There's only 5 people so far, and that doesn't include any, too many of us. So I signed up. So I'm hoping we get a few more. And I don't know if there's something I should be doing to do more to advertise. I know that probably I should be. So
I'm going to send out another email tomorrow.
Okay.
To the list. So email is becoming a problem for us.
Yeah.
And I posted again on the Facebook page yesterday or last night to a reminder about it. I'll be out of town, otherwise I would attend.
Okay. Yeah. No harm, no foul for anybody. I just I want to be able to tell them that we're expecting at least 10, So I told her I'd get back to her as soon as I could. So that's what I know about that. And then I was pulling up what we've got for in August. We're going to have Hyatt. Alex Valeri is going to present. And I think we're going to do that one remote. Because then in September, we're going to have Sally do the disc training. So that'll be in person. And then October, we've got the trade show. And I am making calls about where we could have a board meeting the night before. I just am making the calls and talking to some hotels, etc. So I haven't gotten anything finalized, but I have been making those calls. And then I had somebody else.
We had a board meeting the night before, or weren't we going to do an event with suppliers? Is it the
That was it. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
It'd be like a cocktail hour.
Yeah, like a cocktail hour. Yep. Sorry about that. So, and then I have somebody else that I just got in touch with that wants to do November.
Club
So we're
Med,
getting there. And then it depends on what we're going to talk about for December. So
Was the November one was the Club Med, Ashley?
yes. It was Club Med. Thank you.
Mhm.
I forgot to put it on my spreadsheet.
I need to send them our bank account information for the 4th time.
So yeah, we're getting full for the year.
Cool.
Is the Club Med in person or virtual? I mean, Zoom or something,
I think she wants to do it in person.
Oh, great.
We'll just have to come up
She's
with
very eager to meet us
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
She seems fun.
Yeah.
Bring attention to the group. Please make sure that you remember to put on the ASTA.org main calendar all the events so the chapter can get credit for it. Because right now, just like the August, there's September, nothing, October, nothing is on for Rocky Mountain. So I just want to make sure the chapter gets credit for these events, your hard work that you're doing a phenomenal job with. So
Is that something I should be doing?
Trish, I'll show you how to do that.
Okay.
And then now that we'll talk about this in a minute, but now that we've kind of got our program outline for events, we'll come up, you and I can work on like the operating procedure and the steps to follow and all that.
Okay, that'd be great.
Cool. Do we want to talk about the December idea that I randomly came up with in the middle of stuff?
Yeah, that just slightly overwhelmed me because,
Sorry. If I send a random idea email, you all are free to completely ignore it because sometimes I just need to put it in email and make it go away.
I think it's a good idea. Yeah. You share, Jeff.
Oh, well, I shot this random note to Trish and Skylar yesterday about December, and what if we did a holiday gathering advisor appreciation event. So, and the idea was maybe find like one supplier per category to sponsor it, so that we can get a chunk of change for it. But then as a holiday event, it's not really like a supplier meetup per se, other than networking opportunities and whatever like banner or whatever they wanted to have. But it's a nice advisor appreciation opportunity. It's not a showcase in the sense that you can have your competitors there. We would do like a one supplier per category thing. Yeah, that's basically it. So that's the idea. a holiday event as an advisor appreciation event.
Jeff, did you have any thoughts about what kind of venue? Because this is something I'll work with Trish to kind of, if we go down this way. Do you have an idea of a venue? Are you thinking about like a nice restaurant? Are you thinking about like more of an open catering type of situation? Did you have any thoughts about that?
Well, the carnival thing yesterday was in Maggiano's in Centennial, which had a large banquet hall, and so that just kind of got me thinking of like, how can we use this space? And I was looking up the costs and stuff, and the costs, for example, at Maggiano's are basically food plus 20%, and then miscellaneous fees from there. So it's like, I don't know what the food, I didn't have a menu price for, but it's it's Maggiano's. It's not crazy expensive, but it's not super cheap either. So
you can negotiate usually in regards to events like that. Negotiate like what it would cost, like for the room, for catering, or the service and stuff. So that's something negotiable. But I just wanted to know if you're thinking more like high end or Maggiano's. I'd say kind of in between, something like that at least has a big open banquet hall.
Yeah, I would say a banquet hall, and basically, with the sponsors paying for it, basically, then members, ASTA members, and a guest, their spouse or partner or whoever. So and maybe we'd get 7,500 people.
The tavern also, I was looking at them for what we're doing in October. They have rooms like that too. So if we got on it quickly, maybe they'll, we could still reserve that kind of room. It's still back, in the same neck of woods where we'll be in October, but they have rooms like that as well.
Cool. So that was just a random idea. I think the order of operations would be to find a space to get the budget. And then we can kind of divide what it would cost per sponsor and start targeting some sponsors.
I think it sounds great.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well, Skylar, since you kind of volunteered and apparently you enjoy negotiating with venues, would you mind kind of spearheading finding a place?
Yeah. So, Trish, you and I are meeting next week. If anybody can think of some ideas about places, I don't eat out a lot, and I travel a lot. I just don't go to a lot of restaurants. So people have ideas about where some good spots can be. Just shoot me an email, and then I'll create a list, and then I'll start reaching out to these events or locations, and I'll take care of trying to negotiate and come up with a good strategy for that.
Yeah. I'd like to do the September event in southern Denver, and the Maggiano's might work if it's in, that's where you was in southern Denver, right? You said
Centennial.
Yes.
Centennial. I mean, that could work for September if we
We don't have a place yet for September? No? Okay.
No.
Yeah. And my preference is we've been doing a lot of stuff downtown and northeast. So
Centennial, BTC.
yeah.
Depending how far south, Sally, the chapter has used in the past, Hacienda, Colorado, down off of Lincoln. Has a
That could
big
work.
conference room too, which attracts up from the Springs and also Castle Rock. People, it puts it closer to them. Skylar also, just to give you some past venues, we've also used Hacienda, Colorado, on Colorado.
Yep.
Which people like because it's pretty central and right off the interstate there.
Yep, I know that place well.
So that's worked well. We've also have used, there's a golf club, I can look it up on the west side. And a couple other places I can I'll ping you over a message with places we've used in the past, if any of those are helpful moving forward. And
Okay.
Trish and Jeff, I'll CC you both on that as well. So you have those venues.
That would be very helpful.
And for the
Yeah, that'd be
September event, we agreed to cover the cost of ASTA members' materials for that event, but not the food.
Right.
So as we're looking for a venue for that, we want to try and find someplace that would either allow for people to individually buy their food or not lock us into doing a catering thing.
You're talking about
Well,
Sally's thing?
You know, maybe Hacienda, you know, usually, I mean, I'm good. I don't want people to order food individually. I think that would get crazy, but we could charge them $20 for the event that would cover food. I mean, we often charge something for the event. So, and Mexican food is easy to do a buffet.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Mhm.
inexpensive.
Okay.
So that's an option. Mexican and Chinese tend to be less expensive for groups, in my experience.
And are you going to need like a monitor, Sally? I would assume, or something like that.
Yeah, we're gonna need some kind of, and some of the meeting places have it, but there'll be PowerPoint.
Okay.
And we'll need a flip chart stand and paper.
Okay.
Or we can just bring out we just get sticky big paper. We can use that on the walls.
Yeah, I have. I just recently did a project with my team, and we have some big sticky, like exactly what you're talking about. So I have a whole thing of that. I can bring that.
Yeah. So good.
So again, just to confirm that you would just need to make sure you'd have a monitor. If they do not, because I know some do, some do not. If they do not, does anybody on this board have a good sized monitor they can just bring?
We can figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's a variable that I have to look into.
I think that's
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at
What?
peaked.
I do have a tech proposal coming up for that, but I also have access to a projector I can borrow. So
Yeah.
Okay.
If we can do a projector and screen, that works. And sometimes that's bigger than a monitor.
Okay.
To do a projector and
And how
screen.
long are you looking for this event to be, Sally?
We put that out. It's 2 hours of meeting. And so I think, what did we say? Like a 5:30 get together and then a 6 to 8 meeting.
Okay.
I think is what we
Do
talked
we have
about.
do we have a date yet?
It's either a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and I wish we'd pick one.
it might depend on
These
the
are-
venue, but it's gonna
These are things that they're gonna ask.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, yeah.
gotta-
19th or 20th.
19th or 20th of September.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's stick with Tuesdays.
Tuesday. So we're looking at the
Yeah.
19th. At let's just say from 6 to 8, but we'll come and set up by 5:30.
Well, yeah, and we want people to be able to get food and a drink if they want at 5:30.
So what if we did like a whole like just appetizers and like a drink? Like we'll order some dishes of appetizers and then people get one drink. So maybe we bring this is what I do it for the other events I do. You bring like drink tickets, and so you give everybody one drink ticket, and then they give it to the waiter or the waitress, and then when you're done, they'll tally up how many tickets they have, and then we'll cover that, or whoever's going to cover that.
That sounds good. We can charge whatever, $20 or whatever, 25. The fact they're going to get the instrument for free if they're a member, and we can write that up. And I did go on your website and pick a date to talk, Jeff.
Yep.
Yeah, and we can kind of cover some of that stuff when we gab.
Cool.
And do you have a ballpark number of how many people? I know it's still up in the air, but that we're aiming towards? Are we looking at 20? Are we looking at 40? Or
25 is a nice size for this kind of thing.
including us?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think my hunch is it'll sell out.
I previewed it at the carnival event yesterday and got a few nods. So
Good.
Good.
cool. Is that all you need?
Sorry, I'm late, everybody.
Hey, Mitch.
Yeah, I'll be able. My first attempt is I'm gonna try Hacienda. I think that is a really good spot. I've hosted events there before too. They do have a nice open back room, and then again, Mexican is cheaper and it's easy for the buffet. I was just thinking if we do appetizers, or maybe just get like 4 dishes of fajitas and have them line it up. I mean, that's super simple and easy. And then they have chips and salsa and your caloric guac or whatever. And then again, I think a 1 drink token ticket per person. I think that's a good way of just kind of controlling it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
That sounds great.
I'll get back to you on that.
For expediency, can we get a motion to allow Trish to set the budget and the pricing for this without board approval?
So move.
Sally moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Since I wasn't in on the discussion, I have to abstain. I don't know what you guys are talking.
Sure. Any objections? You were muted, Sheila.
That's okay. I said, don't feel bad. Neither do I.
2 abstentions, no objections, all in favor, rest are in favor. So, and to summarize, it was basically just the disc event, Mitch. We're trying to get the disc event published in September.
The disc event?
Yes, Sally is host. We're gonna do the disc personality assessment as our first business builder event in September.
Okay.
And in a previous meeting, we agreed to cover the cost of materials for ASTA members. And yeah, it's kind of the first kind of professional development event that we're going to be doing. So speaking, what was that?
I said it's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. All right, so speaking of events, I'm going to bring up, I don't know if folks got a chance to look at this from my email earlier this week, but Trish and I have been kind of thinking through the overall structure of events and how do we make this as smooth, streamlined, and fill up our calendar as possible. So we kind of outlined a program and put a bunch of stuff on the website. This is not, it's on the site, but it's not linked anywhere yet, so no one can find it. That's just kind of how our site works. But if you didn't get a chance to look at it, I'll go through it real quickly and just kind of hit the highlights. So this page talks about just the invitation to present to our members, and that we have essentially 2 event series. The ones that we do today. Oh, this is the wrong page. The goal of the core purposes is to help our members excel, strong connections with travel suppliers, etc. Of course, there's a big old link to the showcase. The first kind of series of events is what we have been doing for forever. The supplier meetup events is just kind of what we tagged them, both in person and virtual. And then this new series that we've been talking about, this business builder series, where it's professional development, skills development, not tied to any one particular supplier or destination, but resources, tools. They may be ASTA partners, like one of the law groups that are ASTA members that work with travel advisors, but essentially the content is around helping travel advisors with their business skills and build their businesses and excel in everything that's not the travel side of the business. And so then if we look at supplier meetups, this is pretty straightforward, but it just kind of outlines a few things. So in-person meetups kind of being our new preference and encouragement from headquarters to do a lot more of these. There's multiple styles of doing it. You can do a meeting or training. You can host a happy hour or dinner, sponsoring a social event, advisor appreciation event, or even a local FAM or site inspection. We've kind of thrown out some sample pricing. So for in-person meetups, we wouldn't charge the supplier a fee to us, but we would expect them to cover the cost of the venue, of the food, and that sort of thing. We would heavily promote it and help them extend their reach for it. The other side is a virtual meetup because we are very spread out as a chapter. So threw out some ideas here for them. There's the traditional slide deck and Q&A, but they could also use their phone to take us on a virtual tour of their property. You know, if Coconut Bay had done that, that would have been pretty cool a couple months ago. Invite previous customers to share their experiences. You know, Skylar, that you were in mind for that one. If you had something that you could share, you know, you've got a lot of great testimonials. Maybe they do cooking classes or something, and they could do a demo of that. Just something that's a little more interesting than just, you know, slide deck and Q&A. But if it's a slide deck and Q&A, it's a slide deck and Q&A. We define the fact that we're going to use our own conferencing platform, and we threw a price on here of $50 for that. For ASTA member suppliers, non-members would be $75. And again, we would heavily promote it. We also have this idea of doing a regional roadshow to cover more of our geographic territory, where we would help arrange and promote the meetings in 2 or 3 places, from the Springs to Denver to up here in the north, either Fort Collins or Cheyenne. And then there's just a bunch of other content on here in general. But so that's kind of supplier meetups idea. And then the business builder events idea. You know, possible topics could be improving your social media skills, how to use certain pieces of technology, how to leverage virtual assistants, you know, your financial health and planning for retirement or selling your business, health insurance options for the self-employed, public speaking, high dollar sales techniques. Debbie and I were talking about it last week and thought that maybe like advice on how to qualify clients would fit in this category. You know, and some qualification techniques from some of the members that have been in the business longer, and that sort of thing. These could be in person or virtual. We'll help promote it, you know, heavily promote it. It would be a bi-monthly series. And then the key thing with this series is that the intent is to help the members build usable skills or provide usable insight and information. It's not just an empty sales pitch. They can, you know, if they have a business they want to promote, they can do that as like the next step. But the content that they provide itself needs to be something that's valuable and usable. So I think that's a fine line to walk, not a fine line to walk. I think that's an easy line to draw, and that, you know, anyone who's presenting for 30, 45 minutes, you can only say so much, you can give enough, and it still is a good kind of intro. So for these folks, you know, they may be, they're professionals of some kind that aren't necessarily in the travel industry, but are always looking for new clients themselves. So from their perspective, it's good value because it's great prospecting and lead generation. For our members, it's good skills and information that they can use to help build their business or think about their business in a different way. And generally just, you know, it's a great kind of building connections between our industry and other professionals and other industries out there. Base cost for this, we threw out $150. You know, that's pretty low from a prospecting business. I know, like the financial advisor in my networking group will spend upwards of $1,500, including venue, for her prospecting events. So $150 to access 10, 20 members is a fine cost for a lot of these folks. And then, you know, obviously covering the stuff, covering the venue or whatever. And then for this market, only this market, not for the suppliers, but if they wanted to do, you know, a dedicated email invitation in our branding from our mailing list, we would be in control of that, but that would be a $50 per mailing fee. And again, they see this as prospecting and lead generation. These are pretty low prices for them, in my opinion. And then, yeah, well, we can test it out, see how it goes. Also on here is the start of our process somewhere, and an FAQ. So from scheduling, this is just setting expectations. Scheduling, what they need to provide, like their marketing blurb and, you know, pay your fees on time. How a promotion would work, how attendee registration would work, which would be through our Eventbrite. On the day of the event, you know, we're setting the expectation that one of us, either one of us on the board who's attending, you know, or just Trish as the events chair, introduces everybody, starts the meeting and ends the meeting, so that gives us the bookends. to really make sure, it's an ASTA event. Yeah, and then an FAQ. So I just talked really fast. Any thoughts on that? Mitch?
Well, I love where you're going here, but my sense is we are going from 0 to 120 in 2 web pages. It's quite ambitious. So I hope we can implement it.
Well, a lot of this is just putting on paper what we've either been doing or been discussing. And I figure if we put it out there, we can test the waters and see how it goes.
Well, I can share with you there are a lot of professional speakers and a lot of members of Toastmasters that could come and give business builder events, but they wouldn't pay for the privilege. They would do it if they have a book for the back of the house book sale. But generally somebody who is in my experience, is a subject matter expert doesn't normally pay for the privilege of speaking.
And I think that's perfectly fine. I think that one of the things I'd like, us to decide or kind of set a policy is that our events chairperson can waive those fees. Because that is an entirely valid scenario where we want to provide particular content. And so we invite somebody to be a part of this series and we waive that fee. The fee part is just kind of an opportunity for a little more revenue. We are providing value to a business that wants to do that prospecting, but yeah.
See, if I'm paying and I can't sell during my presentation, then I'm doing information. I'm paying you to give you training, and I'm not paying you to have eyeballs and sales. I'm just speaking out loud. So I think if you're going to charge somebody, the expectation would be they're going to want to pitch.
And they can, but the core of the presentation, the purpose needs to be valuable to the members. But there's no prohibition to marketing blurbs or saying, by the way, if you want to go further with this, let's schedule a meeting. This is my business. This is what I do, and that sort of thing. That's perfectly allowed under this write-up.
Well, a lot of them will have books or courses and things like that. So,
sure.
I think it looks, Jeff, you've done a lot of work, and
yeah, brilliant.
This was Trish.
I'm wondering if Trish, did you do all this?
Oh, heck no, it's all Jeff.
Yes. Well, I
just wrote up our conversation.
Oh no, Jeff is amazing, and it's so kind when he says Trish and I talked about this. No, it's all Jeff.
Yeah, I think let's go for it and see what happens. That's my vote.
I've been following the New Jersey chapter, and they have monthly events and they promote them like crazy. So if anybody knows anybody in New Jersey, is it Nick Artis who's running it?
So Rick Artis is actually the one who lives in New Jersey, and I know him very, very well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So maybe he can mentor us in implementation.
I think this looks so professional, and I just hats off to Jeff. And it makes me want to be a part of this board, and it makes me want to really, it motivates me, and it makes me want to do better. And so I'm just very impressed. So thank you, Jeff.
Well, thank you, but I mean, Trish, I'm trying not, we have a good conversation. I'm just an ideas guy, and it's all of us who make it happen. So
well,
I want to make sure that I don't back us into a corner.
I think what you did is put down but you put it down in a very professional way. Everything that we've talked about wanting to do and have been doing, and this will make people want to come to events, sign up for events, present to our people, those kinds of things. So we've been trying to do that, but it's nice to see it all there. So thank you.
Yeah, Skylar, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, so I see both sides of it. I really do see Mitch's side in regards to if people can't sit there and fully make a whole thing about their pitch and stuff, then it's like, is it worth their time? But I understand the other side of it saying, people look at that information as valuable and they're going to want to potentially work with them moving forward. An idea I might have, since this is all new, is that we could test the waters and just see kind of, as you mentioned, the reaction that we get. I got a feeling if I get people, if we're just trying to get this filled right away, if we were to have a very low cost or no cost, I think you can get a lot of people, like, as in speakers, to be able to attend this. If there is an additional cost and they just don't know this is a brand new type of thing, they may kind of set back and say, well, what kind of an outcome am I going to get? What kind of attendees am I going to get? So just one thing to think about, sometimes when you start something, I've always learned you give things out free until then you get the ball rolling and then you have the credibility to back it up. So that's just kind of my 2 cents, because I do see both sides and I do understand what where he is coming from.
Yeah. Mitch, do you raise your hand again?
Suppliers expect to pay because they need us to reach eyeballs. But subject matter experts, when you're talking about 25 people in an audience, paying for the privilege of speaking, there's so many places they can do it for free, and they normally charge anywhere from $500 to $5,000 to give their presentation, although it's usually an hour or more. I love what you've done. I would like to suggest from here, there also needs to be an intake questionnaire and maybe an FAQ for presenters, so that basically they're filling out an intake questionnaire. You can get a sense of what they want from it. You can get in the FAQs, set the expectations of what we want from them. And then if both sides are of the same mind, schedule the event. But I think something needs to be in writing as well.
I'm going to put a pin in what you just said because I have a conversation going on with HQ about that. Debbie, you raised your hand?
Yeah, I'm driving now, so I couldn't read everything, so I was just listening in. But what if we combined the supplier event with an education event, so the supplier gets an opportunity to talk, present for 15 minutes and pay for the event, and then we get an educational piece as well? I think it could increase the draw.
That's a good compromise. Thanks, Debbie.
Debbie, did you raise your hand?
I did not. There, my hand is lowered.
Okay, Robin.
Who will be able to see these websites and how will they get to it?
I'll add it to the navigation somehow, but mostly it would be like us.
In other words, will advisors be able to see this? Or okay.
But are we going to do any kind of promotion off this page using social media or some other means?
I think the biggest intent or goal for this was to give Trish something that she could send out as she's kind of prospecting for events. Say, here's how we do events. And then when it's written down, it's set in stone and there's a process and kind of this is how we do things. And then, we empower Trish to make variations from there. But that was kind of the main goal. And people visit our website, they look for it. And, if they are a partner or a supplier, they'll find the link and learn more about this option. But I've been kind of impressed in the last couple of months of how much random traffic we get from suppliers in particular, that, wanting to work with us. And I think that this would help kind of set the tone, the stage for those conversations. And then also just kind of give Trish that resource to say, here's how we do it.
So one thought came to be, whatever venue we choose, it's going to be a hotel brand that's usually trying to solicit business from travel advisors. So could we see if they could comp us the space? and let them be a sponsor of the event.
Yeah. So kind of like with it, building on what Debbie was saying, it'd be a business builder event sponsored by Thompson Hotel. And then they get their 15-minute spiel, and then the expert.
Yeah, but they may want to
it.
give us a hotel walkthrough, or if it's a museum or if it's a convention center or something like that, that we're treated as sort of like a FAM, in addition to the content, so that it serves everybody's tick list.
Okay. So I'm hearing in general that maybe we want to take the business builder concept and go with a supplier sponsor for it, which, they do at national level. They've got sponsors for everything at the national level. And then, we'll still be vetting any of the business builder stuff. If we do have a professional come to us, then we can make sure that it's going to be valuable and set the tone for that.
I would keep the business builder event. There may be something that is big enough to attract, 30 people, some new online development or whatever. But I do like the idea that Debbie said, well, let's add a learning component to a supplier component, because suppliers are just selling themselves. And that's not business building. That's promoting your brand. So if we could combine both, then, let's say it's Carnival and I don't sell Carnival, but there's somebody who's going to speak on qualifying, prospects. I would go because I want to enhance my qualification status, right? And then we would socialize and get together. So I don't want to give us a chance to say no, and it'll double the chance of people saying yes. My 2 cents. There you go.
Okay. Rob?
First, I want to follow up with what some have mentioned here, that I think this is exceptional in terms of what you put together. I think it will make it very clear to the suppliers in terms of what the offer is, and also to the business people. So thank you for your time and effort, to you and Trish and anyone else who had work in this. Two, I want to also mention that in terms of the business builder people, keep in mind that there are some people such as Tom Carpenter, an attorney, and other people who have business building skills, who have worked with national ASTA extensively, and their understanding of the ASTA system, how it all works, would be such that they would not be the traditional person coming in off the street who, as Mitch alludes to, which I would agree with, that they may not want to pay, but other people, you still have resource people you could use who have connections with national ASTA that we can get connection to, who understand that the ASTA ask that has been expressed in previous chapter president's meetings before you came on, Jeff, is that when a meeting is held, that something is received in return for the chapter, whether that's finances or some other element, prize offering or something, that's not just, okay, a free, here's access to all these people and we get nothing for it. So keep that in mind and to put this together. And also, as I said, we do have access to business building people through national. They would have the expectation, because of that, national has to ask that there would be some cost involved to present. So asking for a cost on it would not be a surprise to them. So just want to
Trish,
that out.
Thanks, Rob.
Well, I guess what I want to say is right now we're just trying to get people to present. So the thought of having to find 2 people to present at one time is a lovely vision, but and that's my goal. But I just want to say right now, we're trying to get presenters and we're trying to get people to attend. So that can be, our 5-year plan or our 3-year plan. But I hate the idea of having that pressure. And I love that, like Jeff said, that then, we can just leave it, whether it comes to a board meeting or an email discussion for each one, like that there's options available. Like, do we charge this person or not, or waive the fee for that person or that presenter, those kinds of things, because, right now we're just building it. So I guess that's what I have to say.
Mitch?
Oh, I think I lost my thought. Hold on.
Okay. I go in order as the hands pop up.
Oh, so my thought was, there is going to be some value in promotion of these events through media. And whether it's through the travel agent media or the local press, just the idea that Rocky Mountain ASTA is hosting an event, that's higher visibility, which again would be more attractive for new members, that they're out there, they're doing things, and they're doing things for their members.
Yeah.
Like in the Denver Business Journal, it should be posted in there.
So for this meeting, because I want to move on to another topic, are we good with the notion, taking cost out of the picture for a second, are we good with the notion of supplier meetups and business builder event series?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any objection to
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
dual event. So I would say let's take the cost, let's table the cost part of it when we publish this. And we'll kind of take that on a case by case for now as we feel our way through how these events shape out. But as we feel our way through that, to kind of echo a little bit of what Rob said, we are offering value to any supplier or, other local business. We have a captive audience in a fashion, and hopefully will be more captive over the year to come. We're a gatekeeper to our audience. Our travel advisors, building the connections to the other local businesses is good for our travel advisors, and it's good for them as well, the other businesses. But let's not leave money on the table in a sense. It makes me super nervous, and I don't know if we're going to get to this discussion today, but it makes me super nervous that the only revenue that we have on our chapter is the showcase. If anything ever happens with the showcase, we're going to be hurting for funds. So I like the notion of having multiple streams of revenue. And maybe this is not the venue for that or the vehicle for that, and that's totally fine. But let's just figure we got to keep that in our heads as well. Sheila in the chat said, I think reaching out to chambers of commerce for speakers, they wouldn't want to pay, but would be a good resource. Yeah, absolutely. And if you're part of any networking groups, I'm part of BNI, then that's certainly something to reach out to as well. Cool. Are we good with that notion of going ahead with the 2 event series, but taking the cost out and just dealing with that? Sally, I see your thumbs up. Any objections to all of that? Cool. So the second proposal, as the resident tech guy, we've been talking through a couple of different things over the last few meetings. We've got our goals around all the resources the chapter requires are created or owned by the chapter, so it's not tied to individual people. And then being able to document all the stuff that we're doing. Sally and I were talking about this in our one-to-one last week of showcase in a box, because Sally doesn't necessarily want to own the showcase for all the rest of the many years that she's going to be part of the board. I just volunteered you, Sally, for lifetime membership.
Come on, Sally.
What's that, Trish?
I said, come on, Sally.
But to be, I don't know if you guys can see the emoticons that pop up. I see them, but but we, in order to be able to hand it off to somebody or to have like set ways of doing things and just store our stuff, our digital stuff, so that it can be used and reused and everything. We need a place for that. So originally I thought we would qualify for free Google Workspace. We won't. It turned out it was only for 501c3. The initial waves of documentation I read were not that specific. But we've talked about in the past to ensuring continuity of key functions of the chapter from one office total to the next, kind of dedicated email accounts for certain functions, a central place for documents and digital storage. We need our own online meeting platform rather than relying on the resources of any one particular person. When it comes to events, that's particularly important. If the supplier owns the Zoom meeting platform, then we've got a little less control over it. I think the Coconut Bay one, while a great meeting, I had to be like, can we speak, please? So she had to like give us permission to talk, which is a little weird. And it's our event. But and then we also talked about a portable projector or PA system. So proposal number one, and I'm just going to whip through this, but basically that we would create Google Workspace accounts for 4 functions: the president, members, treasurer, and events. And these are functions that continuity from one office holder to the next, in my mind, are particularly important. President, obviously, chapter business. Members, any interactions with members, treasurer for finances and events. Yeah, Mitch?
I think members, if I was not on the board, that would include me. Something like membership.
Oh, membership, calling it
membership. Membership instead of just members, because members implies to me that's a global address to every member. And that wouldn't be a bad idea either. If you wanted to do a broadcast, you would email it to members at. And that would be everybody who's in the mailing list.
Yeah, which we don't want to open up at all. That just sounds dangerous. We can continue using vanity accounts. So things like YPS going to Sheila, Showcase going to the Showcase team, board at, to your point just then. And I can restrict those, by the way, so that, only the board, the people on the list can email that list. And then for posterity or for certain accounts that we have already, we would need webmaster. So that's pretty straightforward. We already have and will continue to have Rocky MTN at ASTA.org. That's managed by HQ. It currently goes to Jeff, to me and Robin. The individual, it would work exactly as it does today. For anyone who's using these emails or getting emails, there's only a handful of us that get these, but it can continue to work exactly as it does today, even the 4 that have a box, an inbox. Key benefits, continuity is important. The built-in Google Drive storage, frankly, I use, and I'm biased. I am, as it says in here, I'm already a Google Cloud Professional Architect certification, so I know this platform really well, and I use it for my business, but I use it for my business for a reason. We'd have 8 terabytes of storage with those 4 accounts, so total. We wouldn't have to pay for Zoom because we would get Google Meet built in with the option to record. The group calendars, which right now our website is keyed up to one of my calendars, so it'd be that way. It's a group calendar that Trish can manage for the events really easily and it'll show up on the website. Hold on, Mitch. I'm going to get through proposal 1 and then come back to you. The cost for this would be $12 per user per month. It'd be $48 per month total, or $576 a year. I did look at some alternative pricing and what's out there. So Zoom for us would be $16 a month. Document storage would get basically at least like $45 a month, if I'm reading their terms correctly, for either Dropbox or Box.com. And in full transparency, Microsoft does have a solution that's very much like Google Workspace. I don't know it, and I don't know whether Microsoft Teams is sufficient enough replacement for Zoom. I don't know that platform very well. If we wanted to look into it, we could, but but their pricing for similar functionality is pretty close to the Google Workspace. So that's proposal number one. Key benefits there are continuity of the emails, the Google Drive storage, and Google Meet. We're kind of getting it all in one suite. Mitch, you were the first to raise your hand.
So I'm looking at how Google Meets is functioning with 8 people, 9 people. And it alerted me not to use my video. I'm seeing everybody else's video go in and out. I never have that with a Zoom conference. So if you wanted to put 40 members onto a conference, it would be an audio call. So I don't know whether that's a weakness just in this configuration or whatever, but with Zoom, you can have 100 people on the call with video, and you have the breakout rooms and you have all that other stuff, whiteboards and everything else. Every time I go to Teams trying to put a virtual background in, it's a pain in the neck. So my voice would be do what everybody's using, which is Zoom. But I understand you would get the Teams, and it might be just good for the board meetings. But I've had 30, 40 people on my Zoom calls. Audio's perfect, high quality. The video never stops. And that's all based on the host. That's not my bandwidth.
So I will say that I've been on, using Meet extensively. This level would get 100. I think it's 150 people in the room, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's more than that. And I've been on Meets that are 50 people, 100 people or more with no problems. So I know Sally shut off her video. Debbie had her video shut off. Lisa, it looked like you had just shut off your video. I haven't seen as many problems, but your mileage may be different, Mitch, from your connection. You look a little fuzzy from me.
It's because
Trish,
I have.
you trying to say something? Trish, you're muted.
Denver Public Schools uses Google, and I mean, that's a huge school district. So we had to use that, and they did all kinds of stuff with it. So it's not an issue.
And it's kind of, I think when we've done virtual meetups, virtual supplier meetups, I've noticed that most people turn off their cameras anyway, and listen to the supplier talk. So there's not a whole lot of the face-to-face interaction in those, and that seems pretty common. I think let's consider it from a perspective of what are the other benefits? So the email continuity and really the drive storage. It's going to be slightly cheaper to use it, even if Meet is, some people are not comfortable with Meet or don't use it as much. Is that kind of can we live with that basically versus the other benefits or that sort of thing? So yeah, Mitch.
I can live with it. And, whenever you buy knives as a set, there's usually a half a dozen knives that you'll never use. So just because you're buying a bundle from Google doesn't mean you can't buy another product that might serve the other thing better. My comment was, and I know this for Zoom, I don't know this for Meet, but they consider a video conference everybody showing video, and they consider a webinar with just the host showing their video and nobody else has video. So I don't know whether this allows you to create, what they call a webinar. So it's just whoever is hosting or co-hosting, those are the only people that have video access. Everybody else.
Those are there's no distinction with Google Meet. Which also means there's no extra fee for webinars. I don't know if Zoom charges some, so I know some of the platforms have a extra fee for webinar stuff.
Does the host have the ability to turn on and off audio and video of participants?
Yes, I believe so. I can mute you right now, Mitch. I know I
Can
can
you
do
turn
it
off?
from here.
Can you turn off my camera?
What's that? Yes, I can. I think I can. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that. Yes,
I
Skylar?
mean, if the host has the control, then I'm fine. And that way the bandwidth will just support the people we need to see and whatever is being displayed.
So for presentations, because I use Zoom. Do you happen to know? Are you able to share the audio when if I were to share my screen, play a video? Can the audio work totally fine in regards to the sound if I'm playing a video?
There is. Oh, there was a way. Hang on. Maybe because I'm presenting something, I gotta do this. Yeah, if you present with I forgot, my brain farted there for a second. Excuse me. For presenting, there's a tab option, which is what I was using, and it's best for video. It says.
Okay.
So if I went to, we can go ahead and try it. If I went to,
Go to like YouTube, just try a video.
Yep.
This is just a big thing. Like that was a big thing for me to make sure that audio worked and there's not a long lag or anything like that.
I mean, in my experience, I've never seen a video work well on a webinar. Just
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. But
regardless of platform.
Like I used to use GoToMeeting and I would have to. Yeah, I can hear that part.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was
buttons.
using GoToMeeting for a while and I was having issues with the audio. This was a long time. This is years ago, so they probably fixed it. But the audio for like a video to play was having big difficulties. So that was a big reason why I switched over to Zoom. So that's just a personal thing why I wanted just to play devil's advocate and make sure.
How was that 3 seconds of video for people?
It sounded fine.
It was awesome.
Those were awesome. That was amazing on this side.
Okay. Lisa?
I think, oh, sorry.
Oh, you muted, Lisa. Did you?
Sorry, I was hitting the wrong thing. I meant to click the emoji, the thumbs up emoji about the
okay.
video. Sorry.
I think that we've all just gotten much better about being able to use all the different services that provide these kinds of things, because you go to a celebrity training and it's GoToMeet, and you go, so, and they've all gotten much better. So I don't think we need to belabor this conversation too much. That's my point.
Robin?
Back to who's going to be using this platform the most? Jeff. Which one is Jeff most comfortable with? Google. Ergo, Google should be the option. I mean,
Well, it'll be true.
you are the one who's using it most, and if you are comfortable using it, it will make it easy for the rest of the chapter to use it. So I think that makes perfect sense. I use Google Workspace myself for my company.
Okay. It'll be, Trish as well, setting up calendars and stuff. And Trish, if you use it at DPS, then same argument, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay.
I have one
I know
comment
Jeff
about
sorry.
equipment, which was above. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mitch.
Okay, so you had something about buying some equipment, and every organization I've been with, they wanted to buy a computer, they wanted to buy a projector, they wanted to buy a screen, they wanted to buy all this stuff. The officers changed, the equipment magically can't be found. And that's thousands of dollars. So I happen to have a projector and a PA system that I said I'd be more than happy to loan. And depending upon when the event is, if it doesn't conflict with anything I'm using it for, why not? So I'm willing to offer $1,000 of savings right there. But it isn't the acquisition. It is the storage and maintenance. What happens if somebody puts it in their house and inadvertently or in their garage, inadvertently the car hits it and it breaks? Are we paying for a storage locker? Are we paying for this? We're paying for, you have to think out front about the long-term cost and the long-term, where is it?
So yeah, I want to come to that in a second, Mitch. I want to focus on the email Google Workspace bit first, because it's a good point in terms of the equipment. So on the screen is the cost of it would basically be $576 a year. Any thoughts on that?
Is that the lowest cost for the Google?
I'm up for this. You've done a ton of work, Jeff. And if this is what,
So,
you know a lot more about this than I do. And
It's the
I'm
middle-
voting yes.
Thank you, Sally. It's the middle tier, Mitch, because we need to be able to record meetings, and that's the middle tier.
Got it.
Okay, so I need a motion to add this to our monthly budget.
I so move.
I second it.
Second
Third
by
it.
Sheila. All in favor?
I would like to amend the motion that you pay annually to save money if it's possible.
That is not an option with Google Workspace.
And never mind.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very cool. We'll move forward then.
Does
So that
Google Face allow us to host a website too?
no, their Google Sites feature is awful. Just
Okay.
terrible. Just even worse than what we have now. And what we have now is free. So proposal number 2. So as Mitch alluded, it's equipment. My recommendation is the 876 level plus tax. And then we had also talked about getting a storage unit at some point. And I think that's definitely worth exploring. But when I was at Maggiano's yesterday looking at their event stuff, it would have cost $200 at least for the projector and AV setup. And my concern with this is, like, Mitch, I appreciate the offer to loan us your equipment, but the caveat was if you're not using it or not available or in town or any of that. And that's the piece I want to be careful about, because, you know, if we get dependent on any one person's resource, then the chapter is at a loss and left scrambling.
So here's my take on that. If we're asking suppliers to pay for supplier-based events, paying for AV is a normal part of that cost. And that way it's rented and you don't have to mess with it. Now, if it's anything that we're hosting, okay, well, how much would it be to rent one instead of buying one and keeping it maintained? $40?
Rob?
I just want to interject that from past experience with the chapter 1, it's going to be much more efficient and user-friendly to have our own equipment. In the past, Jeff Gregory would carry in his TV set, since that was the only monitor we had, and carrying that in and out of the restaurants and venues was a challenge, to say the very least. 2, in terms of the renter cost, I do hear what Mitch is expressing. However, Mitch, also I would allude that you mentioned earlier as well, the cost is going to be an element for any presenter. So if we're going to be adding additional cost onto the expense, that is going to probably limit some of the people who are going to be presenting. So that will limit what the chapter can do. So I would move that at some point, whether it's now or in the future, this chapter consider getting their own equipment and have it that way, because I would have much preferred that over the term that I have spent the last 8 years doing. Would have been much easier. So that's just my interjection.
Sally?
You're on mute.
No, you're muted, Sally.
Rob just said it better than I can. I agree. Let's just get it and have it and be able to count on it.
And so
Scott?
who is going to be responsible for it? And what if they're sick or can't come?
It's the same as if it was yours, Mitch. Come on, let's make a decision and move
Well, yeah,
on.
but there's no $1,000 out of pocket. Again, we have
Scott?
some money in the bank, and what I'm hearing is we're spending.
I don't think we've spent anything yet.
Well, we just spent $600.
I agree. I agree with
Skylar?
Rob. I think, and I also have doing other events. Everybody has different projectors, and when you have a whole different brand projector, you may not know how to use it. It wastes time. You sound like you're uncredible. Or unknowledgeable about it. So, again, we could build in the cost and then pay it off eventually. You're just upfront in the cost in the beginning. But again, if someone even were to hold on to it and you get sick, I mean, we all have peers and people around us that can help and get it handed over to somebody else. I don't think that's a big deal. So I do vote with Rob to purchase it.
As the events person, I know that I'm responsible for being at almost all the events. And if I can't, then Robin and I are neighbors. So, then she goes to most of the events also. So between the two of us, we'll get it there.
So to address the funding and the money question there, Jennifer and I are still working on this, and Jennifer's been doing an amazing job pulling this together. I just put colors on it. But we'll go into detail about this probably at a future meeting. But this budget does take into account, and this is for calendar year 2023, because that's how we have to do our budgets, even though our ASTA year runs off kilter to that. So the technology budget does take into account both the email and the projector proposal. And we would still, after the showcase, everything, et cetera, we'd still have over 10,000 in the bank at the end of this year. And this would be a one-time cost. So financially, I think we're healthy. And I think we'll actually have more than that, because I don't think we're going to spend as much as we have in our budget. Rob?
I just wanted to express that one, in answer to Mitch's question is, okay, what happens if somebody doesn't have the access to the camera or projector or whatever we're talking of? We are looking right now in this meeting alone at 9 people on this call. So it's going to be much more efficient to have somebody out of the 9 would probably have access to be able to access the camera or whatever we need. Versus if we're depending on one person who's going to maybe be there or not be there, depending on what their life situation is at the moment. So I don't think that would be an issue. And in terms of expense, I would also say that any business is going to have some upfront expense and cost. But if you want to run a serious business of any type, you sometimes have to put the money out at the upfront. And if Jeff, as you just expressed, okay, this is a one-time cost, and then after that, it's growing from there. So I think it's better to be equipped versus just be fearful of spending money. And I do agree 100% with what Mitch is saying, but at the same time, okay, in any business, you have to spend money to be able to move ahead. So that's my thought.
Robin?
Just curious what the rent expense was on there.
That's showcase. Yeah. I'll share this out after the meeting. I was able to get it from Jennifer just before, so we'll talk. We'll dig into it, next month. But I'll send this out after the meeting.
And by the way, I am also for the equipment purchase. I think the continuity, the knowledge of how to use the equipment will be a great investment. It seems like every time we go someplace and there's AV equipment, we spend like a half an hour trying to figure out how to make it work. Have consistent equipment, very important.
So as a events person, I'm going to make a motion that we buy the AV equipment and that I be responsible for it. And if I'm not going to be able to make it to the event, then I will make sure it gets there. But that's my job.
I second that motion.
Discussion. Mitch, are you?
I want to discuss the fact, Patricia, 10 years from now, you may not be in this post. So I think we need to come up with some kind of an internal policy of how the organization's equipment is. What's that now?
I think it goes with the events position.
Well, but then we need to modify whatever our guiding documents are. But then, are you also responsible in case you drop it?
But I think that would be covered in my homeowner's policy.
Well, I'm not being a naysayer here. What I am doing is giving you experience I've had with two other organizations, and both the computer and the it requires bolts. It requires somebody who knows how to change a bulb. It requires cables, and you say adapters.
The
Not
bulbs are very
everybody has
expensive.
the same adapter, so we're going to need to have a whole host of adapters to plug in other people's laptops. So again,
If they're experienced presenters, they usually have the dongles that are required. If they're not experienced, then I mean those will be conversations we need to have.
your mileage may vary. Mine has.
So I think we can, definitely take that and make policies around that. That's pretty straightforward. Now that we'll have Google Drive for hosting all these policies. We do have a motion on the floor. So any other, technically I'm Robert's rules, any other discussion points or amendments? Calling for a vote, all in favor?
Yes, aye.
Patricia, it's your vote, so I'm assuming you're in favor.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Any opposed? All right, we have the motion carries, so we will make that happen as well.
I'm abstaining, so there's a one.
Okay. All right, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 ayes and 1 abstention, Robin. All right, I want to go through this in the last couple of moments that we have, and I will send this out for everyone's review. But and Jennifer, like I said, has been doing an amazing job. She'd be presenting this if she was here. Basically, where we're looking at, and this is a little weird because we're working backwards a little bit. I know Jennifer's been working with Rob to really understand last year's finances because Trent handed them off to Rob and Rob's handing them off to Jennifer. So it's a little bit of kind of a game of telephone, but we're doing a phenomenal job. So Rob, thank you so much for all your support and history and everything that you're giving Jennifer. So in particular, this random $12,000 that shows up as income last year was transferring from a investment account of some kind we had. And we just kind of brought it into checking, I guess. That was before my time. But the trade show is currently on track for, just shy of $25,000 with 41 suppliers and probably a couple more that'll go higher. Posted this tab, the first tab that you'll see is everything. And I asked Jennifer to break it out so that we can look at trade shows specifically, and then kind of everything else. So that's why there's 3 tabs. And it looks a little weird, like to Robin's question about what's rent expense. So this has trade show and operational cost, and then you can kind of break it down from there. She also was able to throw in the actuals in here, so you can see how we're actually tracking for this year. And in a lot of cases from last year to this year, she just kind of copied over the numbers. So like travel expenses, probably won't actually spend that much because there's no other events that I have to be at for ASTA for this year that I'm aware of. So yeah, that's good. In meetings and education events or education chapter, that's things like covering the materials costs for the disc event. We haven't done any advertising or promo per se this year. We moved GoDaddy to a technology budget line, which does include email for the remainder of 2023, the projector, if as proposed and accepted, and then GoDaddy, which has no expense this year because Trent did it for 2 years last year. Chapters are expected to use chapter funds towards ASTA PAC, so we did carve out $1,000 for that out of this budget for this year. And then if we were to look specifically at trade show, most of the costs are around rent and food, and it basically evens out because the food is covered by sponsors, plus a little bit, not including like the cocktail party, which would simply come out of the funds. But about $16,500 as things stand today is projected net income from the trade show, which then covers some of these investments that we're making for ongoing events, etc. Operational costs. Currently, we don't have any income that's not trade show. But we don't have a whole lot. We have a few little printing expenses that this year was from the Travel and Adventure Show. We haven't really spent anything else other than covering my cost to go to CPC this year. So that we haven't spent hardly anything this year, except for miscellaneous expenses where QuickBooks lives. So I will send this out, and when Jennifer's back, she and I will keep iterating on it. There's a couple of peculiarities I don't know quite how we should track around, like the credit card fees or something like that. So I want to work with her to make sure the numbers are correct. But yeah, I mean, overall, our financial health is pretty good for a nonprofit chapter with virtually no expenses. And that trade show, the profit margin on the trade show is just astounding. So I'm not gonna ask for a vote for the budget right now. We'll do that next meeting, but I want to just kind of show you what we were putting together. Any comments?
Is there not a possibility of having a host for the cocktail party?
Like a sponsor for it?
Yeah. They do it at all the major trade shows.
I mean, is it
It's a
sponsored?
cocktail party for the suppliers.
Well, I understand, but maybe one of them wants to step up and say, let me host it. And $750 per cocktail party? What are we pouring open bar?
Hey,
That was
Mitch, I basically am personally responsible for most of the money that's coming into this chapter, and I think we should just do it.
I agree. I think it's a nice thing to do for the suppliers who are making this happen and giving us a lot of money to do it. And that number is basically a sub. We don't know the exact number, but Jennifer estimated high. Which is why we're not putting it up for a vote right now, because we're still working out the venue for it. All right. Did not get a chance for that last business item, so that's fine. I know I've got a hard stop around now. Is there anything else pressing that we want to bring up right now? Robin, are you raising your hand?
Yeah, in the meeting notes that I was looking at, one thing that I didn't specifically address, there was a question about insurance that was going to be looked into that was brought up last month, and I didn't know if we had any resolution on that. You need me to refresh you on that?
Yeah.
I've got to find it again.
It's board director or operations insurance.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Rob, were you going to look into that?
Yes.
National.
Yes, I am looking into it, and it is on Peter's desk. Right now, ASTA National is buried in terms of putting together a 20-plus page document for the Department of Transportation on the American Airlines NFT issue. So Peter has been working 24/7 basically with Paul Rudin, who was the attorney before Peter, to put this document together. But they do have it, and it will be getting answered from them. So that is what's happening with that. So.
Okay. We have quite a few things on Peter's desk right now, so I don't want to piss him off. Yeah, Mitch.
Did you get the list I sent you? Did you forward that to Trish? The names I found of some agencies and agents here in Colorado?
I did, and I didn't reply back to you on it. I apologize. But to Trish? It should go to Trish?
No, well, I mean, I'm sorry, to Robin. Is it Robin? Who's with me on membership? Robin, right?
Debbie.
Debbie. That's what I said. Did you send
I'll connect you. I owe you both an email. Yeah.
Because, that was just a scrape off the internet. I just looked. And, every single one of the suppliers and the consortia, if you ask, well, who's in my zip code, it will tell you. And there were some names I didn't see on our roster. So I figured, okay, that's more names that should be there.
Yep. There's some laws we have to be careful about, but we can certainly reach out to them around canned spam acts. But thank you for that. I owe both you and Debbie an email to get back to you on the stuff you sent before. So I apologize. I'm a little tardy on that. Okay. Well, if there's nothing
Everybody have
else,
a good evening then.
but we'll call adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.